at the time, comes out and says, I don't think she was doing it on purpose. The coach says that. Go all the way to the front. This is how she plays. Look,
damn, girl.
She's obviously very sweet. She doesn't at all have any negative intent at all. She doesn't hit hard, and she plays very clean basketball. And watch what she does to the eyes. You see?
Ooh, wow. The play in the last game, I didn't see the play in real time.
That's her in the back.
You sure about that? You sure about that?
Straight to a press conference.
So you can pause it right there.
And that's her right there.
That's her in the back, and that's the foul.
Here comes kindness.
I stand by them. I will always stand by them.
Amen.
Everybody else can go to hell.
Oh, wait a minute.
Kindness.
Wait a minute.
So you know what? We need kindness.
Grace.
They go high, you go.
Grace.
Yeah.
Sounds like a wholesome Christian. And
low,
goes, hey, by the way,
we go
to hell, and then you leave.
And
Walking,
you
talking
run up.
contradiction.
Everybody else is trying to divide our locker room. No. Not having your players back will do quite the adequate job at doing that.
Welcome back to the Clark Update. Today's story is surrounded by controversy, a viral recording, and some serious questions involving Stephanie White and DiJonai Carrington. Patrick Bet-David has now entered the conversation, and his reaction to the footage has only added fuel to the debate. Why did Stephanie White defend Carrington so strongly? Did she actually see the incident happen in real time? And why did her explanation appear to change days later? Before we get into all of that, if you enjoy these updates, make sure to like the video and subscribe. More than 73% of viewers still haven't subscribed, and it only takes a second. Your support really helps. Now, let's get into what happened. The controversy began with a physical play involving DiJonai Carrington and Sophie Cunningham. Carrington appeared to be defending against Cunningham when the play suddenly escalated. As the two players made contact, Carrington caught Cunningham around the neck area, sending Cunningham to the floor. She remained down and was checked by trainers on the sideline. The officials immediately reviewed the play and ultimately issued Carrington a flagrant 2 foul, resulting in her ejection. For many viewers, the incident looked serious from the moment it happened. And that reaction became even stronger once the replay was shown from multiple angles. But the foul itself wasn't the only thing that sparked controversy. Attention quickly shifted towards Stephanie White and what she said afterward. White had a unique connection to Carrington. She had previously coached her in Connecticut, meaning this wasn't simply a coach.
After the DiJonai Carrington clothesline from hell incident the other day, in which she came out and said, oh, DiJonai's she's not a dirty player. She just plays real hard. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, look, she turns into the Charlie Brown teacher pretty quickly with a lot of people. At least with me, she does. The moment I realize she's going to do it again and not back her own player, yeah, I'm out. I got to tell you, one of the most obvious traits of a terrible leader, not taking any responsibility.
Commenting on an unfamiliar player from another team. White knew Carrington, had coached her, and understood the intensity with which she played. When asked about the foul, White defended Carrington's competitive style. She emphasized that DJ plays hard, competes every night, and isn't someone opponents can expect to simply walk past for an easy layup. White also indicated
to be fired immediately. Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White walked past her own player Sophie Cunningham to check on DiJonai Carrington after the hard foul.
that she did not believe Carrington intentionally targeted Cunningham's neck. That response immediately drew criticism. Some fans argued that White was minimizing the severity of the incident instead of acknowledging what had happened to Cunningham. And then came the footage. Viewers began circulating sideline video showing White appearing to look directly toward the action as the foul occurred. That raised an obvious question. If White was watching the play unfold, how could she later suggest that she hadn't actually seen it happen in real time?
Yeah, I mean, look, it was a hard foul. I don't think that DiJonai intentionally came out to get her across the neck like she did, but it did happen, and I thought it was the right call. But, you know, one of the things about Nay is that she's going to play her butt off, man. She's going to compete. Nobody's going to go walking in for a layup. And so I don't oppose the hard foul, but I also don't think that she intentionally went for the neck.
That question became the center of the online debate. The criticism intensified when White addressed the issue again several days later. Her explanation was noticeably different in tone. White said she had gone directly from coaching to a previously scheduled press conference and hadn't truly seen the play unfold in real time. According to her explanation, she only understood how serious the incident looked after watching the replay. She also became emotional while defending her commitment to her players. White made it clear that she believed in standing behind her team.
I can't believe that Stephanie White kind of stood up for Carrington. You would never see Shell Reeve, Becky Hammond doing this. You may think something, but you sit in a press conference and say that in front of your team? You don't do that. That's how you lose the team. The team will go against you. What? I'm blown away by that. You can think, oh, I used to coach her, talk to her on the side, whatever, but you don't go on national news and basically put down your own team.
She emphasized that she rides with her players, that she leads with love, and that she wants to protect them from what she described as hate, fear, and division surrounding the league. On its own, that message sounded like a coach fiercely defending her team. But there was a problem. Cunningham was also one of her players. That is where the situation became much more complicated.
Why is Fever coach Stephanie White defending DiJonai Carrington over her own player? That is absolutely bizarre, considering you can watch the replay of that, and it was absolutely unacceptable what happened to Cunningham. Both Sophie Cunningham and Caitlin Collins are wonderful role models for young children, and they play the game exceptionally well. Sophie Cunningham said that the hit by DiJonai Carrington was intentional, but Sophie Cunningham's coach sided with Carrington. Carrington is a Chicago Sky Guard that was once coached by White. I just can't understand why the WNBA is not doing more to protect their players. When Stephanie White was interviewed, she said she doesn't oppose the foul, but she definitely doesn't think it was intentional. That Carrington plays her butt off. That's a pretty generous interpretation of what happened to Sophie Carrington.
Fans weren't necessarily asking White to turn against Carrington. They were asking whether she could support Carrington while still acknowledging that Cunningham had been on the receiving end of a dangerous-looking play. To critics, that balance seemed to be missing from White's initial response. Instead of saying that the foul looked bad but that she didn't believe Carrington intended to hurt Cunningham, White focused heavily on Carrington's competitive nature. That distinction matters. A coach can defend a player's character without defending every individual action that player takes on the court. And that is essentially what many viewers believed White should have done. The viral sideline footage only intensified those questions. People began slowing the footage down, examining White's body language, and comparing what appeared
In the last game, I didn't see the play in real time. I went straight to a press conference. I thought the play got called right. Thankfully, Sophie's okay. Was it egregious? Absolutely. When you have a chance to watch that over and over and over on replay, you can see that. I didn't have that in real time.
Were there any
I take personally any suggestions that I don't 100% always have my players back. I ride with them 10 toes down all the time. All the time.
On camera with her later comments. In the footage, White appears to be facing the court as the play unfolds. Her attention appears directed toward the action, rather than toward another part of the bench. That doesn't necessarily prove exactly what she saw or understood in that moment. A person can watch a play without immediately processing every detail of it. But it does explain why so many fans questioned the later statement that she hadn't seen the play happen. And that brings us to Patrick Bet-David. His reaction added another layer to the controversy because he openly addressed the footage and the reaction surrounding it. Rather than treating the incident as just another basketball disagreement, he highlighted what he believed was an obvious contradiction between the visual evidence and the later explanation. That helped push the conversation beyond basketball. Suddenly, the discussion wasn't only about whether Carrington's foul deserved a flagrant 2. It was about credibility. Did Stephanie White genuinely miss the critical part of the play? Was her initial defense...
Couldn't see it.
Say about the play in the last game, I didn't see the play in real
That's
time.
her in the back.
You sure about that? You sure about that?
Went straight to a press conference.
So you can pause it right there.
And that's her right there.
That's her in the back, and that's the foul. What do you mean you can't see the foul? Unbelievable. And she says she got a better view than some of the referees got. And then this is how she comes and cries on TV about the criticism she got. How dare people on social media call her out? Go for it.
And simply an instinctive response from a coach protecting a player she knows well? Or did the growing backlash cause her to reconsider how she described what she had witnessed? Those are questions fans are still debating. There is also another important piece of context that shouldn't be ignored. White had a prior coaching relationship with Carrington. That doesn't automatically mean her comments were biased, and it doesn't prove that she intentionally misrepresented anything. But it does explain why people are paying such close attention to her reaction. Coaches develop relationships with their players. They know their personalities, their competitive tendencies, and the work they put in behind the scenes. So when White said Carrington was simply playing hard and competing, she may have been speaking from that perspective. At the same time, Cunningham deserved to have her own coach acknowledge the seriousness of what happened. That's where the loyalty argument becomes.
Were there any
I take personally any suggestions that I don't 100% always have my players back. I ride with them 10 toes down all the time. All the time. They know that. It's a shame that we can't have an opportunity to talk about what great basketball they're playing. Because they are f***ing playing. The reality is, with me, I will always lead with love. I will always lead with grace. I will always lead with humility. And I will always lead with integrity. Doesn't mean I'll always get it right. I'm also human. The hate, the fear-mongering, the divisiveness, the stuff that's trying to hijack our league will not win.
It's complicated. White said she would always have her players' backs. But when two of your players are involved in a controversial collision, having their backs doesn't necessarily mean defending one side unconditionally. It can mean supporting Carrington while also acknowledging Cunningham's experience. It can mean saying, I don't believe DJ intended to hurt her, but the contact was dangerous and I'm glad Sophie is okay. That kind of response could have supported both players. Instead, White's original comments became ammunition for critics who believed she was protecting Carrington at Cunningham's expense. And then another piece of footage resurfaced. In an earlier discussion about Carrington's aggressive playing style, White had already described her as someone who doesn't play at half speed. She emphasized Carrington's physicality and competitive approach, essentially saying that opponents shouldn't expect an easy path to the basket when Carrington is defending them. That older comment suddenly looked very different when placed beside the Cunningham incident. Critics argued that White had already established a public narrative around Carrington. She's aggressive, she's physical, and that's part of her game. Supporters, however, could interpret the same comments differently. They could argue that White was not endorsing dangerous contact. She was simply describing Carrington's style of play. And that's an important distinction. The available footage can show what White appeared to be looking at. It cannot, by itself, tell us exactly what she perceived, what she understood in that split second, or what motivated her later comments. Likewise, a change in tone does not automatically prove that someone was lying. People sometimes explain situations differently after they've had time to see additional footage.
And then she put both hands up right after. DiJonai's not doing things half speed, right? No. Like she's swinging hard and coming.
Criticism, or think more carefully about what they said immediately after an emotional game. But the inconsistency is still worth discussing. Because the real question isn't whether Stephanie White is allowed to support DJ Carrington. Of course she is. The real question is whether she could have supported Carrington without appearing to minimize what happened to Sophie Cunningham. That is why this story has continued to attract attention. Fans aren't simply debating one foul. They're debating fairness, loyalty, accountability, and whether coaches should publicly separate their personal relationships with players from their assessment of controversial moments. And Patrick Bet-David's involvement has only amplified that conversation. For now, there is no definitive evidence proving that Stephanie White intentionally changed her story.
On the spot. Now here we have her completely so far away from the basketball, just slapping Tiffany Hayes in the face. Let me just reach and see if I could grab some face real quick. Just smacking Tiffany Hayes in the face. Not really that big of a deal. Steph, any thoughts on this one?
One of the things about Nay is that she's going to play her butt off, man. She's going to compete. Nobody's going to go walking in for a layup. And
fair enough.
Story to protect Carrington. What we do have is the original footage, White's initial comments, her later explanation, and a growing audience trying to reconcile all three. Maybe White genuinely didn't process the contact in real time. Maybe she instinctively defended a player she knew well. Maybe the criticism caused her to clarify her position. Or maybe there is another part of the story that hasn't been fully explained yet. Until more information emerges, the safest conclusion is to separate what we can actually see from what we're assuming about someone's intentions. What we can see is that Carrington made forceful contact with Cunningham, officials deemed it serious enough for a flagrant 2 and an ejection, and White initially defended Carrington's aggressive style. We can also see why fans questioned White's later claim that she hadn't really witnessed the play in real time. Everything beyond that remains interpretation. And that's exactly why this controversy isn't going away anytime soon. What do you think? Did Stephanie White simply defend her player in the heat of the moment, or did her later explanation create an unnecessary contradiction? And do you...
She comes in here in performative anger, and I look at it this way. This is not an apology. This is justification, an excuse wrapped in emotion with performative outrage. That's what I think. Wow. And she's glancing at the paper there. You know, sincere apologies don't need a one-pager that was likely written by, I'll say likely, I don't know, likely written by the Fever PR flack and likely approved by the league. Every statement that goes out here, the league wants the...
I didn't even think about the league. Fever, yeah, it needs to clear the Fever PR, but clearing the league, that's an interesting perspective I have not heard yet. Did the league see this before Stephanie went out and did that? It's a very interesting point, Tom.
The uproar to stop, but they like the eyeballs. But this is going over the waterfall. And I look at it this way. If I was on the board, I would be saying to the CEO, you know what? I think this thing has gone over the waterfall here, and I think we need to make a change. We need to make a change in leadership. And if I was an owner of the
fire her.
I would fire her.
I would as well.
I would say, I don't think that was...
You can't back up the players.
What do you believe a coach can fully support one player while still acknowledging that another player on the same team was hurt? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. We'll be watching closely as this story develops. Fair enough. But after another incident involving DiJonai Carrington and the Valkyries surfaced online, commentators began pointing out something that made the controversy even harder to dismiss. This was no longer just about one hard foul. Carrington's aggressive style was becoming part of a larger conversation, especially as additional clips circulated showing forceful contact involving opponents. At the same time, White's post-game comments were being scrutinized more closely. The question changed. Was Stephanie White prepared to hold her former player accountable when necessary, or did the relationship between the two make that more difficult? That is the real conflict underneath this entire story. Before White and Carrington ended up on opposite sides of the league, Stephanie White coached DiJonai Carrington for 2 full seasons. That isn't a minor detail. 2 seasons is enough time for a coach and player to build trust, understand each other's personalities, and develop a relationship that doesn't automatically disappear when they join different teams. So when the controversial play happened directly in front of White, her initial reaction immediately attracted attention. Rather than strongly criticizing the contact, White focused on Carrington's competitive nature. She described her as someone who plays hard, competes every night, and doesn't allow opponents to simply walk into the lane for an easy layup. To supporters, that was a coach defending her player's character. To critics, it sounded like something very different. They believed White was minimizing a dangerous play involving one of her own players because she still had a personal connection with Carrington. Then the backlash began. And it grew quickly. Fans questioned White's comments online, while the incident continued to receive attention through television replays and social media clips. The controversy wasn't limited to outsiders either. Inside the Fever locker room, players had watched Cunningham go down after the contact. From their perspective, this wasn't an abstract debate taking place on the internet. It involved their teammate. That made White's response even more sensitive. Eventually, White addressed the criticism again. This time, she explained that she had gone from the bench directly to a scheduled press conference and hadn't actually processed the play in real time.
Every day these women put their on the line.
They're not soldiers. They're ball players, ma'am. They don't need to get beat up on the court.
Every day. When they go low, we go high. Love will win. Grace will win. Humility will win. And kindness will win. I stand by them. I will always stand by them. Everybody else can go to hell.
Oh, girl. Well, Stephanie, ma'am, clearly you did not stand and back your players who were deliberately being struck on the court. But somehow you made this about you. Somehow you're the victim in all of this. This is about basketball, ma'am. This is not about you. Stop playing the victim. You failed your player as a coach. There's even video out there where you were walking right past her after the stuff happened.
She said it wasn't until she watched the replay that she understood how bad the contact looked. She also strongly emphasized that she always supports her players. She said she rides with them, leads with love, and stands behind them. It was an emotional defense of her coaching philosophy. But it also created another question. If White genuinely hadn't seen the play clearly in real time, why did her initial comments sound so confident? She didn't simply say that she needed to watch the replay before judging the contact. Instead, she immediately spoke about Carrington's intentions and competitive mentality. That is why critics saw the later explanation as inconsistent. The sideline footage became central to the argument because White appears to be watching the action as it unfolds. Of course, footage can show where someone is looking without proving exactly what they saw or understood in a split second. That's an important distinction. But it does explain why people continued asking questions. The controversy became less about one poorly chosen sentence and more about the change in explanation. First came a confident defense immediately after the game. Then came a different explanation after the criticism intensified. And finally came a passionate statement about loyalty and always having her players' backs. To critics, the sequence looked like a gradual...
I think there's just been a lot of outside noise, but our locker room is good. And that's what it is to be an Indiana Fever on the staff. As a player, that when you come here, that's going to be one of the things that's going to try to distract you. But our locker room in there, it's tight, and we have each other's backs. Coach loves us. She didn't see the clip. At the end of the day, she didn't see the clip, and you know what, DiJonai, she is a hell of a player. She's a great defender, and so she coached her for I don't know how many years up in Connecticut. So give her flowers, and she didn't see it, and that's okay. Me and Steph are great. Steph is great with all of us, and so it's really the outside noise that's trying to distract us, but we're good.
Retreat. To White supporters, it could simply have been a coach trying to clarify comments that were made immediately after an emotional game. Either way, the disagreement wasn't going away. And there was another person whose perspective mattered most, Sophie Cunningham. Cunningham later spoke about the contact herself and made it clear that she didn't view the incident as harmless basketball contact. She described the impact as forceful and indicated that she believed the action was intentional. That put her account in direct tension with the more forgiving interpretation.
I talked to Steph earlier in the day too, and I think we forget a lot of times, like, we're human and she has feelings, and there's moments that are really hard, and sometimes that's just the job you sign up for. But at the same time, like, it's okay to feel those emotions. And I just told her, like, I've been through the same thing. Like, there's been days where I've been really upset, and you can have the thickest skin in the world, but sometimes it does get to you. And I think our world is just like, we love to hate, we love to divide. Like, that's all we want to do. Like, nobody wants to see each other succeed, and I think that's a really painful thing for myself to watch. I feel like we need to do a better job at uplifting each other, and I can assure you there was no way we were losing this game tonight. And I told her that before the game. Like, there was no way we were losing this game for her, and it's tough. Like, that's my head coach. Like, I hated that our fans booed her before the game. That made me a little sick, to be honest.
White initially offered. For fans watching from the outside, the situation became difficult to separate from the basic question of loyalty. Cunningham was the player who took the hit. She was the one who went down. She was the one who needed attention from the trainers. So shouldn't her own coach have immediately acknowledged how serious the contact looked? That doesn't mean White needed to attack Carrington personally. She could have defended Carrington's character while still condemning the play. She could have said that she didn't believe Carrington intended to injure Cunningham while acknowledging that the contact was unacceptable. That middle ground might have prevented much of the controversy. Instead, White's initial response left many fans feeling that the benefit of the doubt went to the former player she had coached rather than the player wearing her jersey. But here's where the story becomes even more complicated. Not everyone in the Fever organization appeared to view White's response the same way. Caitlin Clark